Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. And appreciate you stopping by the channel. I was made very happy. The Serbian Prince has returned, ladies and gentlemen, to the Miami Heat facilities from his great triumphs of the summer. Yes, a disappointing time for Serbia, but a growth for this man and this man alone. Jovic, dude. Nikola Jovic back in the Heat facilities, the Miami Heat, tweeting out yesterday that our brate is back from Eurobasket. And, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for this season for Nico to see what he can bring to the table. Certainly hope he does, because I've been gassing him up enough this summer. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the deal this year. But I honestly do have a lot of confidence that this guy is going to be that. I think that he's going to have a very good season. I'm very excited to see, too, just kind of the mix of all of this stuff put together for this Miami Heat squad. But as my guy, Goran Dragic, when he joined us earlier this summer, we were talking about Eurobasket, and he's just like, hey, man, I see big things for Nikola Jovic this upcoming season. So I'm excited about it.
Hey, I'm telling you one thing. I'm expecting big things this season from Nico. He's looking good over there. So
I thought that he did have a good summer. And the thing that disappoints me about where it went, Germany ended up winning Eurobasket. And I would say Nico's best game came in the Super Cup against Germany in the final, where he and Franz Wagner were going shot for shot. So it's disappointing that Serbia didn't get to where they were. I know there's been some stuff with their national coach and whatnot where he's had to come out and deny ideas that he was getting let go or something like that. But hey, it's time, as Pat Riley says, the main thing is the main thing. It's time to get to the main thing, which is going to be this upcoming season for the Miami Heat. I saw that Norman Powell posted on social media. It looks like his puppies are en route to Miami as they are getting set for this. It is time to get close, as we are a mere, 12 days away from this puppy getting going. Very exciting. And I was, I was curious about this. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I was talking about the rumors, baseless, what's the word I'm looking for when it comes to the Andrew Wiggins rumors? The pointless, not baseless, but pointless Andrew Wiggins rumors, which apparently he's not going anywhere. But, was making the point about the Miami Heat and being able to get to the rim and their free throw attempts. And, man, they missed the holy hell out of that last year when Jimmy left. I mean, really, it was such a wash year of not having Jimmy as it was with everything that had gone on. And, I was like, what did they end up last year as far as free throw attempts were concerned? And it was worse than I thought it was as far as the rest of the league was concerned. But the Miami Heat last year were bottom 4 in the league in free throw attempts per game, which, look, it's not necessarily an indictment of how good or bad a team you are, because Oklahoma City, they were bottom 5. But I kind of have the feeling, this is just me, if I'm just doing pop psychologist and that, if I had to guess, the reason of that is because there was a ton of blowout games, and that's the reason why they were so low, because that seems to, because they were 4th in the league in scoring. Miami's problems were kind of all encompassing offensive. Same thing goes for the Celtics. Like, the Celtics were low, and I think they might have actually been last, but they hit a bunch of threes. And so there was at least that caliber of a thing for Miami, when the rest of the squad is like, it just, they didn't have that go-to guy that could slow down the game. And in particular, this became an issue in the fourth quarter last year, where it's just like, hey, the game slows down. You need guys to get to the rim. We need to make this thing happen. And it just wasn't there for Miami. And I'm not saying Miami has to be overwhelmingly the top, but I would just like it to be better. They've been more of a middle-of-the-road team these past years, but they had one of the best guys at getting to the free throw line his entire career. And I think particularly when you look at this Heat team, the guy who really needs to find that balance of bringing it back is Bam. Bam Adebayo needs to, get back more in the range of where he's been because the Miami Heat have a bunch of like guys who got there like 4 times a game. In the NBA, I think there were 10 guys who got 6 free throws or more. Bam had been in like that 5 a game range. And so if it's possible, I think him getting back to just normal. I'm not asking for like a career high from Bam, but in Bam's career, he has been around, he's averaged around 5.5 when he's really played. I mean, like, since he became a full-time starter, 5.3 free throws a game, 5.5, 6.1 in 21-22, in the least amount of games that he played that year because he had the thumb injury. 5.4, 5.5 this past year, 4.2. Now, the Heat, did get an uptick from Tyler Hero, who was never really good at getting to the rim, and he was able to show an ability to do it last year, which was a huge step for Tyler's game. Huge step for Tyler's game. You'd like to even see if he could get it up a scotch more. That would be incredible. But I do think that those easy points and the ferocity of bringing that to the rim, I definitely want to see if Bam can find some kind of bounce. And then I'm very curious to see what Nico can do as a player as far as that's concerned, because again, he's probably not going to have the ball in his hands. It's still not going to be like his team per se, that this could become a monster thing for him. But I think we saw him at a spot where for this team, it could be in a much better place. And I'm curious to see that. Last year it was just missing throughout the rest of the lineup. So I'm curious to see that, because he definitely had more of that. Andrew Wiggins, pretty damn good at getting to the free throw line with how much he's going to get the ball. I'm okay with that. We mentioned Norman Powell. Norman Powell's got that in his game as well. So these guys being able to kind of uptick and get those easier points for Miami is absolutely huge. And it's going to be interesting to see, where Miami is able to generate their offense, how they're able to generate those offense. Because the one thing I'm saying, a lot of people are kind of doing the thing where they're trying to lay the groundwork for Erik Spoelstra to get Coach of the Year finally, which the guy could not care less about, honestly. Like, if I told Erik Spoelstra today, hey, would you take the Coach of the Year? He'd probably just like laugh in my face or just keep moving, just have no reaction. Like, he has no time for Coach of the Year or those honors. They're stupid. And but I am curious to see, because I think that for the first time in his career, people are questioning, like, hey, can he do this? Like, does he have the tricks in his bag? Does he have the ability? And I think there's been rightful counters to, hey, the team hasn't necessarily had the talent, and this is a league that is based on talent, but he's always seemed to get the most juice out of every player that he can, and he does have new pieces or more trustworthy pieces. And I think that the fact that Spo went to Europe to go see Nico, to go see Pella, spoke to him, like how invested he is on these guys and this roster. I think last year with the Jimmy thing, I remember asking about the Jimmy thing, and he was saying, like, hey, he's got a leader. He's got to move the locker room. And it was very clear that Jimmy wasn't as bought in because he felt some type of way about the negotiations. Not going to have that this year. You're going to have Tyler Hero probably in more of a prominent leader role for this team. Tim Hardaway kind of gave voice to this recently about how, Tyler didn't buckle under all of this stuff. And I remember, Tyler really rolled with the punches well with the Jimmy Butler thing. And that's with it probably, I could see, I don't know if it did, but I could see it, really hurting a guy in a way, being like, man, I thought we were good. I thought this was going to be, we were going to finally see this through. Because the one thing that's been tough about the Tyler era with the Miami Heat and Jimmy is every move, when we were always looking for the Heat to make that next move, it really was to replace Tyler or give what Tyler wasn't able to give in those playoffs, whether it be from injury or just not playing up to his standard. And that to me is going to be the interesting challenge for Tyler, because he doesn't have to live up to that anymore. Now he does have to live up to the idea of, hey, I want a big time contract extension, which is understandable, but for the Heat to truly believe in that and truly look at him as the guy that they're going to invest in, it's going to be interesting to see, how he bounces back should this thing, even reach it. Maybe they come to an agreement in October. I don't know. But it is going to be a pretty interesting thing to see how this all plays out for him and these guys. Cuz yeah, I think for him and Bam, there is a lot of pressure on how they lead this organization and where it goes from here and where the next steps are. I talked about this with the Kevin Durant thing where it's like, hey, you guys didn't trade for Kevin Durant. What do you believe Tyler and Bam to be? This is going to be what their answer is, because they did go and they did make a move after, I furiously ranted on the radio like a maniac.
What the hell are you doing? What's the plan?
I had fun doing it, though. It's all going to be known, and I do hope that the Miami Heat franchise, as Mickey Harrison's fresh off of coming off a great summer where he gets to go in the Hall of Fame, deserved. Gave him his flowers for that. I'm happy for him. But I do think that this organization is it got a fan base, which Mickey, gave his love to. I think that they all are gonna look at a place and be like, all right, we gotta pick some kind of a direction here, one way or the other. And the thing that I like about this roster that may not be a contender right now, but I do think that there's a lot of exit ramps where the Heat can take the first 40 games of this season, and hopefully with everybody healthy, and they can make an equation of like, all right, we're going to sell at the deadline. We're going to buy at the deadline. Some other guy is going to shake loose, and we're finally going to pull the trigger on that. Or we're going to move on from this player. We're going to move on from that player. And we're going to be in a clearer direction. We're not just going to sit here and float by for another year. And our peak was, hey, we didn't have to be in the play-in this year. That to me is like, the Heat not being in the play-in this year should be like a bare minimum goal for them. If they can win a playoff series this year, hey, it's not the standard of the organization, but I'd be like, all right, I was pretty impressed with that season. And especially if they can get themselves in a position where they don't have to take down, whoever ends up being the 1 seed. If they can blow that out of the water, then great. But I do think that this has to be a year where they gather more information. They're in more of a controlled environment from not having chaos around or hurt feelings around. And that, all right, we think Tyler's going to be this. We're going to invest in him. Or we don't think Tyler's that. We need to move on from him. Bam Adebayo, you're this. You're a cornerstone. We're going to keep you around. Or we're getting too much of a sweet offer. We need to just blow it up and move in another direction. They need to know that. Andrew Wiggins. Hey, you know what? Andrew Wiggins, we like having him around. He helps Bam and Tyler. Keep him around. Or this offer's too good. Boom, we need to move in this direction. Norman Powell, you are the perfect complementary piece to Tyler. Bang. Or this mix doesn't work. Pick a guy that you got to go with. Nico, you 6-man, are you a starter? Are you a crunch time guy, or are you a bit player? Khalil Ware, you going to take Erik Spoelstra's message, and do they believe in you as the guy they should have kept away from all Kevin Durant talks? These things are all very, very interesting for me going into this season. And I think that this entire start to the season is going to be fascinating, because I think the Heat are getting challenged right out of the gate. And so we're going to get some big tests, and I think we're going to get some good intel, and we're going to figure these things out. And but I do hope that we see from a roster standpoint, all those guys. I want to just see a team that doesn't settle. I want to see a team that tries to like input its will on teams, because that's the one thing with Jimmy Butler, right? Whatever you think about him as a player, and whatever you think about his impact or what made him, like, it wasn't like he was the most beautiful player to watch in the world. That dude just brought so much, when he was on, so much ferocity, and he could just squeeze, like having the worst day, it would be like it could squeeze 18 points out of nothing. and just be like, all right, I'm not even having the greatest day. But when he was on, obviously, it was tremendous. But I just felt like with the Heat, it just felt like, hey, it's either the shots are going in, the shots aren't going in. Like there was no counterpoint to it. There was no backup plan to it. And so I hope that this team being a little bit more versatile and just having a little bit more dog in it can, just won't wilt. I think that was the thing that was so disappointing with last year. The fourth quarters were a mess. So many games just slipping by the wayside. You could just see them just feel like they mentally wilted away. I want to know that the scars for that meant something. I want to know that Bam and Tyler watched that and it meant something. That Nico, when he was healthy, that it meant something, and that they learned from that, and that then maybe having Wiggins and having Norman Powell will help that be eliminated in a lot of ways. But that's going to be the most fascinating thing for me with this team in the early going of the season. Can they get a lead? Can they sustain a lead? Can they win games coast to coast? Can they hold on? I know in this league there's a lot of big comebacks. The league has changed. The three-point shooting has changed everything. But nobody gets swallowed up with these lopsided quarters quite like Miami. Can they eliminate that and find their place? Not let games that should have been easy victories that you worked so hard for the majority of the game slip away. Those things to me were going to be Erik Spoelstra's biggest challenge this year and what he needed to work on in the summer. But I have faith in this guy. This guy's a maniac, a competitive maniac who absolutely, tries to find a way. I do not believe this man is a fat cat. I cannot believe that Erik Spoelstra is a fat cat. I will not believe Erik Spoelstra is a fat cat. All right? I don't even think he likes lasagna. All right? I don't know what his feelings are on Mondays, but I cannot believe that Erik Spoelstra would have a fat catitude about this. So my belief in the head coach, no, I've been tough on him, with especially some of the playing time decisions. I gotta believe that this guy's coming into training camp with an absolute bag of solutions to figure this stuff out. Now, there's still some talent questions. There's no doubt about that. But I'm talking about the dumb losses. They can eliminate that. Miami's going to be in a much better spot than they were last year. They have to be.